I'm standing behind the counter of my diner for the last time. It's December 15th, 2022, and after 43 years, Holloway's Diner is closing its doors forever. The bank's coming tomorrow to take the keys. I'm 68 years old, broke, and saying goodbye to the only thing I have left of my wife. But then, 3 strangers walk in with a lawyer, and one of them says something that stops my heart. "Mr. Holloway, do you remember the blizzard of 1992? Have you ever helped a stranger and wondered what happened to them? Share your story in the comments below." It's 6 a.m. on a Thursday morning in December, the coldest day of the year so far in Valentine, Nebraska, a small town on Highway 20, halfway between nowhere and nothing. Population's been declining for 20 years, ever since the meatpacking plant closed and the young people started leaving for Omaha or Denver or anywhere with more opportunity than a dying prairie town could offer. I've been awake since 4, like I have been every morning for the past 43 years. Old habits don't die just because your business is dying. I lay in bed for an hour in the apartment above the diner, the same apartment Joanne and I moved into in 1979 when we were 25 years old and stupid enough to think we could make a living selling eggs and coffee in rural Nebraska. The same bed where she died 3 years ago, holding my hand, telling me to keep the diner open, to not give up. I gave up anyway, not right away, but slowly, month by month, bill by bill, until there was nothing left to do but surrender. I unlock the front door of Holloway's Diner, flip on the lights, and stand there for a moment, looking at the place I built with my own hands. Red vinyl booths along the windows, recovered twice in 1991 and 2008, getting more expensive each time. A long Formica counter with chrome-legged stools, some of them wobbling now because the welds are old and I can't afford to fix them. A jukebox in the corner that hasn't worked since 2003, but I can't bring myself to throw away because Joanne loved that jukebox, used to play Patsy Cline while she waited tables. The walls are covered with photos, layers of them, decades of them, overlapping like pages in a scrapbook. Customers celebrating birthdays, local high school sports teams after championship games, the Valentine High School class of '89 after prom, all of them crammed into the back room in their tuxedos and puffy dresses, the annual pancake breakfast fundraiser that we hosted for 35 years straight, community events from 4 decades of being the heart of this town. There's a photo of me and Joanne on opening day, front and center above the register, both of us 25 years old, grinning like idiots in front of our brand new diner. She's wearing her waitress uniform, pink dress with white apron, her name embroidered on the pocket, hair pulled back in a ponytail. I'm in my cook's apron, skinny as a rail back then, full head of brown hair that's now completely gray. We look like we're going to live forever, like nothing bad will ever happen to us, like this diner will outlast us both. 2 out of 3 wasn't bad. Joanne died 2 years ago, 2020, right before the pandemic hit and the world went insane. Pancreatic cancer. Diagnosis to death in 4 months. She spent her last weeks in the apartment upstairs, in our bed, looking out the window at the diner below. Sometimes customers would wave up at her. She'd wave back, even when she was too weak. "Promise me you'll keep it open," she said 3 days before she died. Her voice was barely a whisper. "The diner? It's our legacy, Frank. It's what we built together." "I promise," I said. I tried. God knows I tried. But the pandemic destroyed us. We went to takeout only for 18 months, lost 70% of our revenue. The overhead stayed the same. Rent, utilities, insurance, equipment leases. I took out loans I couldn't afford, maxed out credit cards, applied for every grant, every assistance program. Some helped, most didn't. By 2021, I was underwater. By 2022, I was drowning. The bank sent the foreclosure notice in September. I had 90 days. I spent those 90 days trying to find a buyer, someone who wanted a diner in a dying town. Nobody did. Why would they? Valentine, Nebraska wasn't exactly a growth market. So here we are, December 15th, 2022. The last day. Tomorrow the bank takes the keys, and Holloway's Diner becomes whatever corporate chain they can sell it to. Probably a Dollar General. Everything becomes a Dollar General eventually. I walk behind the counter, tie on my apron, the same style I wore in that photo, just 43 years more worn, the white fabric gone gray from 1,000 washings, and start the coffee. The big industrial machine Joanne and I bought, used in 1982, that's broken down 50 times, and I fixed it 50 times because I refuse to replace it. It groans to life, gurgling and hissing, and within minutes the smell of coffee fills the diner. Rich, dark, familiar. The same smell that's greeted customers every morning since 1979. Outside, the sun's starting to come up over the Nebraska plains. December sunrise, painting the frozen grass gold and pink, long shadows stretching across Highway 20. It's beautiful. It's always been beautiful. That's what Joanne used to say. We might not have much, Frank, but we have this view. We have this light. That's worth something. Worth something, but not worth $180,000. Not worth saving the diner. I crack eggs onto the grill, lay out bacon, make hash browns from scratch like I've done every morning for 43 years. Muscle memory, knife work I could do blind. The rhythm of cooking that's been my meditation, my prayer, my way of processing life since I was younger than my customers' grandkids. This is the last time I'll make coffee in this diner. The last time I'll crack eggs on this grill. The last time I'll hear the bell above the door jingle when customers walk in. The bell jingles. Morning, Frank. It's Deputy Jimmy Scott, Sheriff's Department, works the night shift, stops in every morning at 6:15 for coffee and eggs before going home, been doing it for 12 years. Morning, Jimmy. Usual? Yeah. And Frank? He pauses, takes off his hat. I'm real sorry about today. This town won't be the same without this place. Thanks, Jimmy. He sits at the counter. I pour his coffee. We don't talk. What's there to say? In small towns, some losses are too big for words. The regulars have been coming by all week to say goodbye, to tell me stories about their first date here, or their wedding reception in the back room, or Sunday breakfast after church for 30 years straight. A lot of crying, a lot of hugging, a lot of, I'm so sorry, Frank, me too. I'm sorry too. The morning rush, if you can call 8 people a rush, comes and goes. The Hendersons, married 62 years, same booth by the window, same order. 2 scrambled, bacon, wheat toast, split a side of hash browns. They don't say much, just hold hands across the table and cry quietly while they eat. Pastor Williams from First Lutheran, black coffee, stack of pancakes, leaves me a $50 tip he can't afford. The Choi family, who've owned the hardware store since 1989. They bring their 3 kids, let them order whatever they want. Chocolate chip pancakes, extra whipped cream, the works. When they leave, Mr. Choi shakes my hand and says, You were here when we arrived in this town. You made us feel welcome when not everyone did. Thank you. By noon, the lunch crowd has thinned out. Just a few stragglers. Teenagers from Valentine High School cutting class to eat burgers one last time. Old farmers nursing coffee and complaining about the weather like they've done at this counter for decades. I'm in the back, washing dishes, when I hear the bell above the door. Be right with you, I call out, drying my hands on a towel. When I come back to the front, there are 4 people standing by the door. 3 of them are in their 30s. 2 men and a woman, all dressed nice, like they've got somewhere important to be. The 4th is an older man in a suit, carrying a briefcase. Lawyer? Probably. You can always tell. They look out of place in my diner. Too polished? Too expensive? Not the kind of people who usually stop in Valentine unless they're lost. Afternoon, I say, grabbing menus. Sit anywhere you like. They choose a booth by the window. I bring them water and silverware, pull out my order pad. What can I get you folks? The woman speaks first. She's maybe 39. Auburn hair, sharp green eyes, wearing an expensive black blazer. Just coffee for now, please. for all of us. Coming right up, I pour 4 coffees, bring them to the table. They're all staring at me with this strange expression. Not quite pity, not quite curiosity, something else. "You folks passing through?" I ask, trying to make conversation. "Small town instinct. You talk to strangers because everyone else you already know." "Not exactly," one of the men says. He's younger, maybe 35, dark hair, nervous energy. "We came here specifically to see you, Mr. Holloway." I blink. "Do I know you?" "No," the woman says gently, "but we know you. Or we did, a long time ago. Mr. Holloway, do you remember December 1992? A blizzard? A family that broke down outside your diner?" The world tilts sideways. December 1992, the blizzard. The family with 3 little kids. Oh my God. "The Doyles," I whisper. Exhaust smoke pouring from under the hood. Not good smoke. Burning smoke. The driver's door opened. A man got out. Then the passenger door. A woman. Then the back doors. 3 small children, 5 people, in the middle of a blizzard, car broken down, middle of nowhere. "Oh no," Joanne breathed. "Oh, Frank, no." I was already moving, unlocking the door, stepping out into wind so cold it felt like knives on my face. "Get inside," I shouted over the howl of the storm. "Come on, get inside now." They stumbled toward the diner. The man was carrying the youngest child, couldn't have been more than 5 years old, little boy crying and clinging to his father's neck. The woman had a boy by the hand, maybe 7 or 8. A girl, older, 9 or 10 maybe, was walking between them, head down against the wind. They fell through the door more than walked through it. All 5 of them covered in snow, shaking from the cold, the kids crying, the parents looking shell-shocked and terrified. Joanne slammed the door shut behind them, locked it. The wind was still trying to get in, rattling the windows, making the whole building creak. "Oh my God," the woman said. Her teeth were chattering so hard she could barely speak. "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much." "Are you hurt?" Joanne asked immediately. Going into nurse mode, she wasn't a nurse, but she'd taken classes, first aid, CPR, always wanted to help people. "Is anyone injured?" No," the man stammered. His lips were blue. Actually, blue. Hypothermia blue. "Just cold, so cold, our car died." The kids were all crying now. The girl trying to be brave, biting her lip, but tears streaming down her face. The middle boy openly sobbing. The youngest just screaming into his father's shoulder. "Please," the man said, "is there a hotel in town, somewhere we can stay? We just need to get the kids warm." "There's a motel," I said. "Valentine Motor Lodge, about 2 miles east on Highway 20. But you can't get there in this. You'd freeze to death before you made it 100 yards. The woman made a sound like a wounded animal. "What are we going to do? We can't stay in the car. We'll die." Joanne didn't even hesitate. She never did. That was one of the things I loved about her. When something needed to be done, she just did it. "They're staying here," she announced. Not a question. A fact. "Frank, get the space heaters from the back storage room. Get every blanket we have. I'll make soup." "We can't ask you to do that," the man protested weakly, but you could see the relief in his eyes. The hope. "You're not asking," Joanne said firmly. She was already moving, grabbing towels from behind the counter, ushering the kids toward the back booth. "You're staying. End of discussion. This is a blizzard. You have children. You're staying. Now get those wet coats off before you catch pneumonia." I loved her so much in that moment. Loved her every moment, but especially then, watching her take charge, take care of people, be exactly who she was meant to be. We set them up in the back booth, the big corner one we used for parties and large groups. It had tall sides that would block the drafts. I brought out every space heater we owned, 3 of them, ancient things that were probably fire hazards, but they worked. Set them up around the booth, cranked them to high. Joanne brought out every blanket we had, the emergency ones we kept in the office, the picnic blankets from summer, even the tablecloths from the storage closet, anything that could keep them warm. The kids were still crying, huddled together in wet clothes, shivering so hard I could hear their teeth chattering from across the room. "Let's get you out of those wet things," Joanne said gently to the mother. "I've got some dry clothes upstairs. They'll be too big, but they're warm. Frank, go get my sweats and some t-shirts, big ones." I ran upstairs, grabbed armfuls of clothing, sweatpants, sweatshirts, t-shirts, socks. When I came back down, Joanne had already taken the mother and the kids into the bathroom to change. I heard her voice through the door, soft and soothing, talking to the children like they were her own. The man was still sitting in the booth, looking dazed. I handed him dry clothes. "Bathroom's occupied. You can change in the kitchen if you want." "Thank you," he said. His voice broke. "Thank you so much. I don't know what we would have done if you weren't here." "You're here now," I said. "That's what matters." After he changed, I went into the kitchen, started making food. Joanne was already ahead of me. She'd put a huge pot of vegetable soup on the stove before she went to help with the kids. I made grilled cheese sandwiches. A dozen of them. Kids love grilled cheese. Comfort food. By the time everyone was changed and warming up by the space heaters, the food was ready. I'll never forget the look on those kids' faces when we brought out the soup and sandwiches. Like we'd given them a feast instead of simple diner food. They ate like they were starving, which they probably were. Stress and cold and fear all burn calories. The man introduced himself while they ate. His name was Samuel Doyle. His wife was Tracy. The kids were Ashley, 9 years old, Jeremy, 7, and Zachary. They called him Zach, who was 5. "We're from Kansas City," Samuel explained. He was warming his hands on a mug of coffee, color finally coming back to his face. "Driving to Tracy's parents' place in Rapid City, South Dakota for Christmas. We were supposed to stop in North Platte for the night, but we were making good time. Thought we could push through, save the hotel money, get there earlier tomorrow." "Then the storm hit," Tracy added quietly. "We should have stopped. Should have found shelter earlier. But by the time we realized how bad it was going to get, we were in the middle of it. And then the car started making that terrible noise, and smoke started coming from the engine, and—" She didn't finish. Didn't need to. We all knew how close they'd come to disaster. "What's wrong with the car?" I asked. "I have no idea," Samuel said with a bitter laugh. "I'm an accountant. I can tell you how to structure your tax return, but I can't tell you what's wrong with a car. We were going to have Tracy's dad look at it when we got to Rapid City. He's handy with cars. But now—" "I'll take a look in the morning," I said, "when the storm clears. I'm not a mechanic, but I know enough to figure out what's wrong." "We don't have money for repairs," Tracy said quietly. She was looking down at her soup, not meeting our eyes. "We spent everything we had on Christmas presents for the kids and gas to get to Rapid City. We were counting on staying with my parents, not paying for hotels or car repairs. We're broke until Samuel's next paycheck in January." The shame in her voice broke my heart. That particular shame of not having enough, of being stranded and helpless. I'd been there. Different circumstances, but I'd been there. Joanne reached across the table, took Tracy's hand, squeezed it. "Don't worry about that now," she said softly. "Let's just get through tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest. Right now you're safe. Your kids are warm. That's all that matters." Zach, the youngest boy, looked up at Joanne with these big brown eyes. "Are you an angel?" Joanne laughed. "No, sweetie, just a person trying to help." "You seem like an angel," he insisted. We stayed up with them until almost 2 in the morning. The kids fell asleep first, exhausted and full and finally warm. They curled up in the booth under piles of blankets, looking like a puppy pile, all tangled together. Samuel and Tracy tried to stay awake but eventually dozed off too, sitting up in the booth, Tracy's head on Samuel's shoulder, his arm around her. Joanne and I sat at the counter, drinking coffee, watching them sleep, listening to the storm rage outside. "We're not charging them," Joanne said after a long silence. It wasn't a question. "No," I agreed. "We're not." "And you're going to fix their car?" "If I can, if it's something I can fix." "And you're going to give them money?" I looked at her. She was smiling. That smile that made me fall in love with her when we were 19 years old, and she was waitressing at a truck stop in Scottsbluff, and I was a cook just back from Vietnam with no idea what to do with my life. "How much?" I asked. "However much they need," she said simply. "Joe, we're not rich. We're barely making ends meet as it is." "I know. But they have less than we do. And it's Christmas. And look at them, Frank. Look at those babies sleeping. What kind of people would we be if we didn't help?" I looked at the Doyle family sleeping in our diner. Looked at my wife, beautiful and stubborn and kind to her bones. Made a decision that felt right in my chest, in the place where good decisions live. "Okay," I said. "We'll help them, whatever it takes." She kissed me, right there at the counter. "That's why I married you. Because you're good, Frank Holloway, all the way through." The storm cleared around 5 a.m. I went out to look at their car while everyone was still sleeping. It was bad. Really bad. They'd need a tow to a real mechanic, probably $400 to $600 in repairs, plus the cost of the tow. They didn't have it. I knew they didn't have it. I went back inside. Joanne was making breakfast, pancakes, scrambled eggs, bacon, the works. The kids woke up to the smell of food and the sight of snow sparkling in the morning sun. "It's like a Christmas miracle," little Zach said, his eyes wide. After breakfast, I pulled Samuel aside. "I looked at your car. The transmission's shot. You're going to need a tow and a mechanic." His face fell. We can't afford that. I'll have to call Tracy's parents, see if they can wire us money, but it's Christmas Eve tomorrow and I don't know if the banks are even open." I pulled $100 out of my wallet, put it in his hand. "Here," I said. "There's a mechanic in town, Joe's Garage on Main Street. He's good and he's honest. Tell him Frank sent you. He'll come here and get you fixed up." "I can't take this." "Yes, you can. Consider it a Christmas present." "But, Samuel," I put my hand on his shoulder, "you've got 3 kids who want to see their grandparents for Christmas. You've got a wife who's been nothing but gracious and kind, even though you're stranded in a strange town. Take the money, get your car fixed, get to Rapid City. Have a good Christmas. That's all I want." His eyes filled with tears. "How do I pay you back?" "You don't. Don't worry about it." They left around noon on December 24th, 1992. Joe had fixed their transmission for $200, charged them half his usual rate because I asked him to. Samuel tried to give me the $100 back, said they'd make do with the money Tracy's parents could send, but I refused. "Merry Christmas," I said. Tracy hugged Joanne. "We'll never forget this. Never." The kids waved from the back window as they drove away. Little Zach pressed his hand against the glass. I waved back. That was the last time I saw them. Until today. December 15th, 2022, 30 years later. "How did you find me?" I ask again. I'm still sitting at their table, coffee going cold in my cup, staring at 3 adults who used to be the children I fed pancakes to 3 decades ago. Ashley answered. "It took us years. After our parents died in 2008, we found Dad's journal. He'd written about that night, about you and your wife, about how you saved us. He tried to pay you back, you know. He mailed a check here in 1995, $100 plus interest, but it came back. Wrong address or something." She opens her purse, pulls out an envelope. Inside is a check, dated 1995, made out to Frank Holloway for $150, never cashed. The envelope is marked, "Return to Sender." "He kept trying," Jeremy says. His voice is thick with emotion. "Different years, different addresses he found. Nothing worked. He felt terrible about it. Said he owed you a debt he could never repay." "There was no debt," I say. "I didn't want to be paid back." "We know," Zach says. "But Dad did. And after he and Mom died at the car accident, we inherited that debt. The 3 of us. We made a promise at their funeral that we'd find you, that we'd thank you, that we'd pay you back. But we were in our 20s, Ashley continues, broke, in school. We couldn't do much, so we waited. We worked. We built our lives. I became a surgeon. Jeremy's a commercial real estate developer, and Zach is a corporate attorney. And once we had the means, we started looking for you in earnest." The man in the suit speaks for the first time. "I'm Leonard Coy, attorney for the Doyle Family Trust. Took 18 months searching, but we found you. Found out about the diner. Found out about..." He pauses delicately. "Your situation. My situation. My bankruptcy. My shame. I don't understand," I say. "What do you want?" Ashley smiles through her tears. "Mr. Holloway, Frank, we're not here to thank you, though we are thankful. We're here to pay you back. All of it. Everything you've done for us, directly and indirectly." "What does that mean?" Jeremy pulls out a folder, opens it. Inside are legal documents. "This is the deed to Holloway's Diner," he says. As of this morning, we own it. We bought it from the bank. Paid off your entire debt, $180,000. The property is ours. My heart stops. What? But we don't want it, Ashley says quickly. We're giving it to you, free and clear. No mortgage, no debt. It's yours again, Frank, completely paid off. I can't breathe, can't process what they're saying. There's more, Zach adds. We've set up an operational fund, $50,000 to cover expenses, repairs, upgrades, whatever you need. If you want to keep running the diner, you can. If you want to retire and hire someone else to run it, that's fine too. But Holloway's Diner isn't closing. Not today, not ever. Leonard Coy slides the documents across the table. All we need is your signature. I'm crying. 68 years old, sitting in my diner that I thought I'd lost. Crying like a child while three strangers, no, not strangers, never strangers, watch me with gentle smiles. I can't accept this, I managed to say. Yes, you can, Ashley says, echoing the words I said to her father 30 years ago. You helped us when we needed it. Now we're helping you. That's how this works. Your wife, Jeremy says softly. Joanne. She was part of this too. We wish we could thank her. She'd be so happy, I whisper. She'd be so damn happy. They stay for 4 hours. We talk about everything. Their parents, Samuel and Tracy, who apparently never stopped talking about that night in the blizzard. How it became family legend. How they raised their kids to believe in kindness, in helping strangers, in paying forward what was given to them. Ashley tells me about medical school, about becoming a surgeon, about the clinic she volunteers every week in Kansas City for people who can't afford health care. Jeremy talks about his real estate business, about the affordable housing developments he builds, about choosing people over maximum profit margins. Dad always said you could have charged us for that night, for the food, the warmth, everything, but you didn't. That stuck with me. Zach, the little 5-year-old who cried in his mother's arms, is a corporate attorney who does pro bono work for struggling small businesses. Guys like you, he says, people who built something with their own hands and just need a fighting chance. They're good people. Samuel and Tracy raised them right. They'd be so proud of you, I tell them. They were, Ashley says, right up until the end. By evening, word has spread through Valentine. Small towns, you can't keep secrets. Someone saw the fancy cars outside the diner. Someone else saw me crying. By 6 p.m., the diner is packed. The Hendersons come back, Pastor Williams, the Choi family. Some customers I haven't seen in years. They're all here, celebrating, crying, hugging me, hugging the Doyle siblings. You're staying open? Mrs. Henderson asks, gripping my hand. I'm staying open, I confirm. The cheer that goes up rattles the windows. Joe, the same mechanic who fixed the Doyle's car in 1992, comes in with a toolbox. Frank, I heard what happened. Let me look at your equipment. Whatever needs fixing, I'll fix it. No charge. Maria Lopez, who worked for me as a waitress 20 years ago, shows up. I heard you might need staff. I'm between jobs. Can I come back? By 8 p.m., I've got a full staff committed, a list of repairs being handled by locals, and a reservation book filling up with people who want to support the diner. The Doyle siblings watch all of this with wonder. You gave more than you knew that night, Ashley says quietly. You gave us hope, but you gave this town something too. A heart, a center. That's worth saving. They stay in Valentine for 3 days. We have meals together. They meet everyone in town. Before they leave, Ashley gives me one more thing. An envelope. What's this? I ask. Open it when we're gone, she says. They hug me, all 3 of them. Long, tight hugs that feel like family. Thank you for saving us, Jeremy says. Thank you for saving me, I reply. After they drive away, I open the envelope. Inside is a check for $100 and a note in handwriting I don't recognize. but somehow no is Samuel's, dated 1995. Dear Frank, I've tried to return this money 5 times. It keeps coming back. So maybe this is meant to stay with you until the day you need it most. Thank you for teaching my children that kindness matters. Thank you for giving us Christmas when we had nothing. You saved more than our trip that night. You saved our faith in people. I hope you're well. I hope your diner is thriving. I hope Joanne is still making the best pancakes in Nebraska. And I hope you know that what you did mattered. It mattered then. It matters now. It will matter forever. With eternal gratitude, Samuel Doyle. I sit down at the counter, my counter, debt-free, mine again, and cry. It's been 6 months since that December day. Holloway's Diner is thriving. We're busier than we've been in a decade. People drive from 3 counties over just to eat here, to be part of the story. I hired back my old staff, gave them raises I can finally afford. The Doyle siblings visit every few months, and every morning, when I unlock the door and turn on the lights and start the coffee, I look at the photo of me and Joanne from opening day. I talk to her like she's still here. We made it, Joe, I say. The diner's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. So let me ask you, what would you have done in my position all those years ago? Would you have let them stay? And what would you do if someone showed up 30 years later to repay a kindness you'd forgotten about? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that good deeds matter, hit that subscribe button, because the world needs more stories like this. Stories that prove kindness doesn't disappear. It just waits for the right moment to come home.